Good morning. It's Michelle Allen of A Sharp Photo, the one and only plus size certified photographer in the galaxy. I wanted to talk to you today about color temperature and white balance. All right. So, um, your camera is a tool and it can't see and it doesn't know anything, right? It's like a robot. However you program it is what it will give you back. So whatever input you place into the camera will determine the output in terms of the image, right? So because of that, one of the main things now is what is white. You have to tell your camera what white is so it can get all of the other colors correct. So this is what's meant by white balance. White balance. So when your camera doesn't know what white is, then all of the other colors pretty much kind of get thrown off. So that's where color temperature comes into play. So when you look at not just your camera, but your phone, if you go into the white balance section, there are all these little symbols. And those symbols say, hey, in this room, this is the type of lighting that's going on in this room. And based on that type of lighting, this is what white is. So once the camera knows what white is, then everything can look normal, right? So like you'll have what looks like a cast. So what the camera does is it adds a balancing color, and for orange, that's blue. So it'll add more blue into the image to kind of make it neutral. And that's what the white balance is. It's trying to make the whatever image you come up with neutral. And you can do whatever you want with it later, but it says, okay, let's find the middle ground, and that's where we keep things. You know, there's like a rectangle with a bunch of spikes around it. That's fluorescent light. You know, fluorescent light seems normally has like a green cast. So it'll add pink to it to bring it all neutral. So if you've ever taken pictures with your phone, it's like, geez, they always look weird. Like it looks really blue or it looks red or it looks orange. It's because you're not setting your white balance and it's your phone, right? So, but like I said, I say this all the time. I'm such a fan of doing just a little bit more than the other guy, right? So because most people don't care, don't know about that. If you're taking pictures for any slightly professional reason, like if you're a model or it kind of matters to you that your pictures look a certain way, one way to tweak that and really do a little bit better, that's for cell phones. And then another way to tweak it and not have so much work to do afterward, that's for photographers and people who are working with the DSLR, is to fix the white balance before. Now one kind of easy catch-all is you'll see something that says AWB, which is auto white balance, which the camera just kind of figures it out. You know, it has sensors and it says, well, I guess this is what it is. But if you want to dial it in a little bit more, you can actually select the light bulbs. Okay, tungsten. You see, you know, like the light bulbs that you normally have in your kitchen, that's going to be fluorescent. It also has sunlight and shade and cloudy. Now, what I personally use, what works best for me on my camera, I don't know if they have this on phones. They might have it on more higher end phones, but on cameras, it has a K, which stands for Kelvin, because light has a temperature. So you can actually dial in a temperature and you can get, is that rain or wind? I know it doesn't matter to you, but I'm like, man, it's really windy. Okay. You can actually dial in a temperature and that gets you the color the way you want it. So no, like 5,000 and up, you're going to get a warmer image or something that looks a little bit more yellowish, a little bit more orange. Once you start going below that, it gets cooler, which means it gets a lot bluer. All right. So in general, so one thing I do is I shoot a lot of people and I definitely shoot a lot of headshots. And the thing with headshots, there's not a lot of room for artistic interpretation. It's important for the image to be accurate, right? So I normally shoot between about 4,700 and 5,200, right? And what you do is you look at the person's skin color, right? And if the skin color is a little paler, then I normally will, 'cause I still want the person to look how they look, but I'll bump it up in like, 5,000 and 5,200. No for I'll add just a little bit more blue in it. And that's my preference. Now, here's where you get fancy. And we're still talking about still photo. We'll talk about video a little bit later. But here's where you get fancy. If you want to really say, well, I need an image that's really, really blue, right? You can do it with Kelvin, but you can also do it with the automatic modes, right? Because like we talked about, if it's a tungsten bulb, then it's going to have, they know that tungsten is orange, so it's going to add blue. So if you're in a situation where, let's say, you got LED lights, or if the lights are just plain old blue, right? It's, you're in a club or something like that, and the lights are blue. You put it on the tungsten setting, and it's going to add more blue to your image. So really, really, flip it the other way. If you're in a situation where, like you need it to be more orange, then you would click the shade setting, or shade or the cloudy setting, because those add more orange because it's more blue. You know what I mean? So that's where you can kind of get tricky and get fancy with it, So, and video works the same way. Video works the same way in terms of the color temperature. And like I say, for video, once you get into video, you're sitting, you're still, you have time to move. I would recommend using the Kelvin because you can dial it in. And the cool thing about the video, unlike the photo, is you can see it as you do it, because video, it's on the screen. Live. Most of the time it's going to be live what you're shooting. So even the preview is live. So as you adjust it, you can really see what it looks like, and you can make it look exactly the way you want it. Just another side note with video. What a lot of filmmakers do is they actually make their video as neutral as possible, and then they go back and they do color grading when they do post-processing. That's a whole nother talk show topic. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. White balance and color temperature, same idea. It's just you use color temperature to get to your white balance, and you could actually specifically use color temperature by using the Kelvin setting on your camera, or you can just use the automatic modes to get kind of just jump to. Honestly, what the automatic modes is adding, but what they're really doing is they're picking a specific Kelvin value for the most part, and that's what they're setting your camera to. So so if you want to one, just kind of increase the professionalism of your images, especially if you're working from your phone, set your white balance. Either use an auto white balance, or if you can tell what's going on in the room, go ahead and select something. And honestly, sometimes when you select the auto white balance, you might not like it. So try the different ones and see what you get. And then boom, you can get something either more natural or something more interesting. All right. And then that's for, for your cell phones, if you want to do something in the moment. And if you want to have less work to do afterward, then set your white balance while you're working. One more thing, and this is a product. I've used different ones before, but there are products. I'll put two of them in the chat just so you can decide what you want. One, you can use a gray card, right? So you have the gray card, you take a picture of it, and this is actually another white balance mode. You take a picture of it, and you can actually set the camera to say, hey, this right here is the white balance that I want. And then from then on, all of the images you take will be predicated upon that. It's pretty cool, you know. And even if you don't even have to set it, you could actually just take the picture, and then when you go into a program like Lightroom, you can actually select that image, that gray card in Lightroom, and Lightroom will say, okay, this is what you want in terms of the white balance. Okay, I'll make all the rest of the images this way. You know, so that's pretty cool. There's I believe the product is called an X-Rite checker. Like I say, I'll put the link in the comments or in the description so that you can check it out. And that, it's kind of crazy. It has a whole bunch of colors on it so that you can kind of select what you want the white balance to be predicated upon. And that's great for video as well as photo, you know, because you can use it in video and you can go back later and do it in post, you know, or you could even zoom it in like close to the camera and then select your white balance. So you can use the camera and use the tools in the camera, or you can take something additional, external, hold it up and say, tell the camera, hey, this is what I want you to use to do what we need to get done. So I'll put those two products in the descriptions. So listen, you keep shooting, eyes up, stay sharp.